Instagram gods are shining on me.
Yes.
Hi, Matt.
How are you?
Welcome. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good too.
It's so lovely to see you and to be
Yeah,
live. There's
yeah,
something about going live on Instagram. It makes you feel alive, the multitude of things that can go wrong.
exactly. So it's the stage fright. So something can go wrong. So you are extra cautious.
Yeah, I think it suits Martian type individuals. My Aries moon, I really feel alive when I go on Instagram live. I much prefer to like all of the curated stuff that you're editing for hours. You go live and you just do it and you're in the moment. There's something really refreshing about it and honest.
Exactly, exactly. So also like I got my anxiety of being visible thanks to being live. So I did not want to talk in videos like at first, but then I forced myself to do live videos. So that's how I got over that. So it's like jumping into the water suddenly.
Yes,
Yeah,
facing your fears. And that's what Mars asks us to do as well. Like fight your fears, attack them, like confront them. It's such a Martian thing, especially for you with a, you also have a Mars rules moon. So we both understand the nature of fighting your fears. Welcome everyone. I'm so delighted. We've so many people joined already. So delighted to be joined by Matt. If you're not familiar with my work and you're just a big fan of Matt, I'm Katrina Astro. I'm a Sagittarius rising, Aries moon, Cancer sun, and I'm actually a former student of Matt's. I studied formal astrology under Matt, and I also studied Uranian with Matt, and he is not only an incredible astrologer, but he's also an amazing teacher. And I believe he's a total genius when it comes to astrology, and that is absolutely an understatement when I'm talking about his abilities astrologically. He's just so impressive. And I always say I can count on one hand the number of people who've read my birth chart. And I'm so proud and happy that Matt is one of those incredible astrologers. Matt, I'd love if you would introduce yourself, maybe like in the context of astrology, by your rising sign and your sun and your moon as well.
thank you. So I'm a Leo sun, so that can be visible from my hair right now. So so hard to tame that, and like I have my like comb.
That's a tell for all
Yeah,
Leos, a comb or a brush in the bag for sure.
exactly. So I'm a Leo sun, Taurus rising, and Scorpio moon. So I mostly have fixed modality in my chart. So I also have Mars in Taurus, Venus in Cancer, and Jupiter in Cancer. So yeah, so mostly I'm fixed and earth and water. So
Hmm.
many people tell me that they get those vibes from me, of Taurus especially. So I come up more Taurus sometimes than a Leo, which is my rising.
Hmm.
And yeah, people also tell me that they get Scorpio from my eyes. So my eyes like Scorpio moon eyes. So I don't know. Astrologically, yeah, it's like that. And for astrology, so like you, I believe. So I have been into astrology for many years. So ever since I was a teen. So like my story, like I started with planets. I loved planets as a child, and I love mythology. So in high school, I used to read about mythology, and in college, I also took classes on mythology. And I only knew sun signs at first, but when I read about Leo sun, so okay, like they were right to some point, but not totally. So then I discovered birth charts when I was 18 or 19. And then I read about the moon signs. So when I read about my moon sign, Scorpio moon, everything changed about me. So I was like, wow. So this explains pretty much everything. So then on YouTube, for example, I first did moon sign series because like moon signs what got me into astrology. So I can start off like that.
Yeah, amazing. And I mean, for a Scorpio moon to go through life not knowing their Scorpio moon, it must have been such a revelation for you because, I'm not sure how au fait our followers are and the people watching with astrology, but that is a challenging moon placement to have a Scorpio moon. And it's interesting you say that people think you're Scorpio through your eyes. I always say, like, water, planets in water are very visible through the eyes. You know, it's very easy to tell if someone has like strong Pisces or Scorpio energy. You can really see it in their eyes. Not so much Cancer energy, but Scorpio and Pisces, that penetrating gaze, you know, that magnetic kind of look in the eyes that all Scorpios have, and that air of mystery too. And I think even the fact that you said you were reluctant to be on camera and to be seen, it's really natural for Scorpios to have that initial guardedness and kind of sense of preserving privacy and self-protection, isn't it?
Exactly. So that was my concern. So,
Mm.
like, what if like I made myself visible? Everybody sees me. Everybody has opinion about me. So I become public. So I did not like that at first. But my community was so supportive. So I met really nice people here. So I have grown a community, sense of community, and for that reason I become more comfortable with that. So over time, but it did not happen suddenly, of course.
Yes, no, no, nothing happens quickly with Mars and Taurus. I think it's
Exactly.
slow growth. So when did you actually establish your Instagram account, Matt?
It was 15th of May, like on 15th of May 2021, I changed my name into Uranian Matt. It was something else before. So I
Okay,
had like set up my account with the solar eclipse at the end of 2020.
nice,
Yes.
nice.
And in May, there was a new moon on my ascendant. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, and there were lockdowns for a long time. So I was at home. So I just randomly changed my name and I began posting about songs. I began posting about Uranian astrology. So I did not know that people will be into that, into these things. So then my family and my friends were forcing me to post on social media at the same time, like you. Then it was like I did nothing, but in a week I got 1,000 followers. So
Oh.
like people were so into that. So wow. So I thought it was something normal, but I later learned that it is something so difficult to, let's
Mm-hmm.
say, accomplish at first.
Mm-hmm.
So then, yeah, I have been here ever since. So it's part of my work and routine, and it's part of my life now. So to be
Amazing. I wonder that week you got 1,000 followers, was there some aspect with Volcanus or something in Uranian dial that you just like shot to infamy so quickly?
I don't know. I never checked actually, but probably that was something.
It
Uh,
definitely is something to
yeah.
study because you say, as you say, growth on social media is slow. And you see some people have overnight success that they just go from 0 to 100 really quick, like you did. But also, I think it's really important that you are yourself on Instagram, which you are. Your page is so authentic and it's niche too, because Uranian dial is such a niche form of astrology. So, like you started off with Western astrology, just the typical astrology that most of us practice. At what point did you discover Uranian dial and kind of make that transition or get deeper into
Ah,
it?
okay. So first, like actually, it happened before I started my Instagram page.
Okay.
So I started my page directly with Uranian, almost.
Oh.
So like there is something like weird about me. So like I'm very like into details, like Virgo Mercury. So like I like asteroids. I love asteroids. So like I studied traditional astrology at first, and then modern astrology, and then karmic astrology. But I was always into asteroids, so that little details, fixed stars, for example. So then, like when I finished my courses in modern astrology or karmic astrology, I did not really believe in myself that, like, I did not think that I will do it professionally. So it was just for fun. So then I discovered Uranian astrology, like randomly on the internet, like some, like you, for example, like that's how you came across my page. Someone was
Hmm.
doing Uranian astrology, and I came across her page, like thankfully. And then I got into the course. So we saw asteroids, fixed stars, like dial, minor aspects. So they fascinated me. So basically, so I became better at these things than regular astrology. So then I thought, of course, like I should be doing something different. I should be doing like something authentic. I was thinking about something. So I just said, okay, never mind, just do whatever you want. So that's how like my page came into being actually.
Yeah.
So
That is absolutely so fascinating, your journey. And as well, what's really fascinating is that you found the Uranian dial better or easier or resonated more. Like, obviously, a huge sign that this was the thing. Like, I've been waiting for it. The other thing was just a stepping stone to this. Interestingly, when I discovered you, Matt, someone said to me, you need to do a course in something you're passionate about. And I just said, well, the only thing I'm really passionate about right now is astrology. And I thought, like, where am I going to find a course on that? And of course, our phones listen to us. So I need to thank Mark Zuckerberg for finding you, because then I went online like a few hours later and I got a targeted ad. It was Matt's class. And not only was it Matt's class, but it was Matt's first astrology class, which felt really special. And then I went into Matt's page and I saw all of your like incredible reviews. And I have my Mars in Capricorn, so I don't invest in anything lightly. So I was like, oh my God, I was like, I found him. I have found like a master of astrology, because I had been, I was self-taught before I met you, Matt, like a lot of astrologers. And then I was waiting, I guess, for the right teacher. And I didn't feel like this strong pull to anyone until I discovered your page. I just got this instant, oh my God, this is the guy who's going to teach me astrology. And couldn't really explain it. Enrolled in the class and thought a bit like you said, that it would just be a hobby, a passion, something I would do for fun. And even I remember my mother saying, like, why are you doing that? And I just said, look, I'm just doing it because it's something I love and it's just for me and it's for not for anyone else. And I felt like I needed to justify it to people. But then the deeper we got into the course and the more I discovered, how like it was just like this whole world opening up for me. But when I discovered that you lived on my Saturn line in astrocartography, that you were born like exactly, that my Saturn line goes exactly through the village you were born, and I have Saturn in Sagittarius. So I was like, wow, like Matt, like not only did I know I had discovered this master of astrology, I'd also found my Saturn figure, my teacher of astrology. So it was just so many light bulb moments of serendipity. And I just think, the people that are meant to find each other in this lifetime do. So I just feel so grateful for that, that I found you at the point I did. So Matt, I'm going to like skip timelines a bit now and jump back a little bit. But like, in your childhood when you were growing up, before I guess you had discovered astrology, how do you think like the astrology, your own personal astrology manifested, in your own childhood, like your personality traits?
yeah, so good question. So my mom tells me that I was really like quiet kid, like I was really obedient or calm, and I did not had problems with food, Taurus rising. So I was a typical Taurus rising baby, basically.
You
And
loved sleeping, did you?
exactly, a lot, a lot.
Every mother dreams of having a Taurus rising baby.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing as well is about Leo. So, like, she used to take me with her friends. Then there were other kids. So she tells me that I used to sit on the couch like a king. I used to observe the kids, and then I choose people who I want to play with. So that's such a Leo for me. Like, I used to observe first. And then Scorpio moon. So she tell me that um, she told me that like I used to be up to something when I'm quiet. So if she did not hear me in the apartment, so I was doing something behind the doors. So that's also such Scorpio moon. So yeah, basically I was really like fixed child. So I did not like changes. I did not like people. I was also possessive, quite possessive.
Mhm.
So I did not like people touching my stuff. I did not like people who used each other's stuff, even for example. So, like I was the possessive over my toys, over my people, over my friends. So I got that fixed sign energy, I believe, as a child too. And
Yeah, amazing. I love hearing how, when you reflect back, how the astrology manifests in your childhood, because it's very unfiltered. We're not looking at it, we're not over analyzing it, we're hearing it from another person's point of view. I really resonate with all the Leo stuff because obviously I have my Venus and Mercury in Leo, and I used to play a lot of imaginary games where I was the queen. Of course I was, or the princess, which is very typical of, people with strong Leo placements. But I was always the queen and always the princess.
Yeah.
And as a Cancer as well, I used to squirrel away food. I used to like take food and hide it from my siblings because I had a lot of siblings.
Hmm.
And I'd squirrel it away for later, which is kind of a typical thing of a Cancerian protective of food and hiding food and nesting. So it's interesting the way the astrology manifested when we were children. Like growing up in Turkey and like, as you got older and getting into astrology, what was that like for you, Matt?
So I don't recall that exactly. So
Hmm.
actually, many people are into astrology here.
Mm.
So for that reason, it's not something that is so unusual. But of course, it is so rare in men. So when you say that, like you are into astrology, they make assumptions about you, you know.
Okay,
So
right, yeah.
yeah, but I was like comfortable with that too. So like I loved mythology and astrology basically. So, but it is more than something. It was more like something personal. So, it was something that I studied when I had summer breaks or winter breaks. So when I didn't have anything to do, like I used to read blogs at that time. So we did not have YouTube that much.
Hmm.
So I used to read, let's say, articles and on the newspapers. So it was for hobby. Like I did not tell everybody that I was into astrology at that time. So, like that happened mostly in my 30s. So right now I'm opening up that I'm a professional astrologer or something like that. But as a child, it was like a hobby, private hobby.
Would you say it was like post Saturn return, you really felt, okay, yeah, I'm actually an astrologer. I need to accept this.
Exactly, it happened after my Saturn return, and when I started my Saturn returns, when Saturn first got into Capricorn in 2017, I began taking courses like regularly.
Hmm.
So then I dropped off and then I started over again. So then I believe that it is something that I should learn because I was so passionate about it. Then I did not like leave them. I did not want to leave them unfinished. So when Saturn return ended, so I came out as a professional astrologer. So it basically changed my life. So I became connected to everybody on Instagram, like people all over the world. So on YouTube, so I'm doing YouTube. I don't believe that still. So yeah, if someone told me that I will be doing these things like 4 years ago, I will say, no, you are crazy. So yeah, that basically changed my life overall.
Yeah, I love that. And I think a lot of astrologers, I call them accidental astrologers. We didn't set out to be astrologers. We kind of have pinch me moments where we're like, oh my God, I'm on a YouTube live and I'm on Instagram live. If you said this to me last year or 2 years ago, I would have laughed at you if I was doing this. But I think possibly Saturn in Aquarius and Pluto in Aquarius birthed a lot of, maybe like pushed a lot of the next generation of astrologers out of hiding, was like, come on, it's time, come on now, kids. You need to get with the program. Like Matt, like what would your, like you're also an academic, people don't realize this about you. How do you find like combining the life of being like, pretty much a full-time academic and like a professional astrologer? Do they lend well to one another, or do you find it hard to juggle them at times?
Yeah, so first, like it helps me, I believe, because I'm an academic, I'm a teacher, and I also teach astrology. So
Hmm.
that's what I do passionately. So that gives me my like skills of like class management, for example, and like course programming and curriculum development and so on. So that gives me the technical things, and I also allow teaching. So that helps me in astro as an astrologer. So like last time we talked about that there are many astrologers, but there are not many astrologers who also teach. So yeah, and that gives me the let's say some type of enthusiasm as well. And I'm sure that you will also teach at some point. You will also teach astrology. I'm sure of that. And what difficult is that sometimes like um, like I have to read, I have to research, so it is something asocial. So I have to be in front of computer doing readings. It is something asocial sometimes.
Hmm.
So sometimes I'm too invested in my room, like in my private space, that I forget that the social world exists. So that's my current problem, possibly. But other than this, like of course, like as an academic at first, I did not want to be seen on social media by my colleagues, by my students, so I did not use my full name on Instagram or on the internet. But I'm comfortable with that too. So yeah, so I try to kind of merge my two professions, basically.
Yeah, I think that's lovely, and it takes a while to get comfortable with it, as you say. And like the work of astrology, I think what a lot of people don't realize is how all-consuming it is, especially, I'm sure you'll agree, Matt, if a client comes to you with a specific problem or a query and you're looking at the chart, it's like you were looking at it. And I know the way you look at charts, almost like with this forensic type of mind, you're just so like, determined to find the answer. And I often find that with astrology, when you go into a chart, you're in such a state of flow. You go into a chart at 7 o'clock and you come out of the chart and you're like, oh my God, where did the time go? It's like 10:30 and I'm just leaving the chart. But I don't know if you have similar experiences, but I have noticed like when I got like really deep into astrology, suddenly I became really time poor. I think Saturn was like, yeah, you need to refine this now. You need to fine tune it. You need to learn brevity, like, which is wouldn't be my strong point, being brief, but I'm getting better at it. I suppose the more charts I do, it's like muscle memory. The more charts you do, the quicker you get at it. But yeah, have you ever been tempted, Matt, to like branch into full-time astrology, or would you have a lot of reticence to do that?
Yeah, so I don't know. I never thought about it. So I also love academia.
Mm.
So I did not want to quit. But still, like I will do that too. So I don't know. So I don't know like where life will take me for now. But I also love the having this same sense of security with academia, and it is also something that I love. Maybe if I hated it, I will drop it and I will become a full-time astrologer. But now I'm fine with doing both. So it gives me some, let's say, multiplicity in a way.
Yeah, and I think like it's really refreshing for other astrologers to hear that because there's a lot of people in the industry, and nothing but respect for them that do astrology full time, and they can be struggling because unfortunately, no matter how busy or successful we are or how many followers we have, it is inconsistent, unreliable work. It ebbs and flows like anything in life, and just because we have a lot of clients or a lot of waiting lists, you're still only one person. You can still only do
Exactly.
a certain amount of like birth charts. So like the same as yourself, even though I got really overwhelmed with bookings, I made the decision, oh, absolutely, like I need my secure income, and also like full-time astrology. I don't know if it's something I'd enjoy. One thing I noticed, the more I got into reading charts, is that, originally back when I was learning and studying astrology, and even at the beginning of my class with you, I just thought astrology, when I was looking at charts, I just thought I was just looking at charts. I just thought I was looking at a piece of paper and or a screen, and that was it. And then I could just close that and walk away from it. And then, like, the longer I practiced, the more I realized, oh wow, like I'm actually looking into someone's soul. This is really sacred work. There's a reverence to this, and I guess I was looking at it originally in a very kind of detached type of scientific way. And then the deeper I got into it, I was like, oh, it's actually quite difficult to separate yourself emotionally. Your own emotions, you can get affected by, the difficult things you see in charts. And I've developed a practice now around it where I'll read a chart, and like when I'm finished the chart, I make a conscious kind of decision to like, let go of that energy, clear that energy. Even though I'm not one of those energy woo-woo people, I want to stress this to people watching. I'm like anti all that. Like I'm not into the 5D or any of that jazz. But I just felt, it's quite draining, and I would sometimes be a little bit upset maybe for the client if I saw something difficult in childhood, for example. And then I would go away and I'd be thinking still about the client the following day. So I was like, okay, I need to like develop a practice. Do you, Matt, have some kind of a ritual or practice you do around like kind of, clearing yourself or decompressing after the intensity of a reading?
Yeah, I do. So, first, like I also contemplate and meditate that I imagine myself basically detached from the energy of the person and detached from the entities, for example.
Hmm.
Or I was like you actually. So I was not a woo-woo person, but I felt that. So I felt the energy on me. So that's how I kind of do meditation. I set my intentions and I just try to secure my aura, and then after I like finish the reading, like I mostly go to the gym because it helps me get rid of that energy, and I listen to music if I can't go to the gym. So I do something else that will make me get away from that energy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's good to hear because I remember in the beginning thinking, wow, am I going crazy? I'm exhausted. I'm feeling all these different aches and pains and emotions in my body, like what's going on? And I had to accept that like this is actually heavy, energetically taxing work, and I need to like honor it and treat it with a bit more reverence. And that's why, like yourself, I limit the amount of chart readings I do now, and I think that, quality is better than quantity.
Yeah.
Matt, I'd love to ask you about, what your hopes and dreams are for Uranian Astrologer Matt. Just your page and just your persona in general, like for the future. Like, do you have a vision of where you would love to go with it, or how you'd like to expand it?
Yeah, I was thinking about that recently. So I have Mars on my sun right
Oh.
now, so it makes me think about these things. Uh, so I don't know. So I also love to grow steadily rather than
Hmm.
suddenly. So when I grow steadily, like I kind of get connected to every follower,
Hmm.
everybody.
Hmm.
So as much as I can, I love that. I love having the sense of community. And I also do YouTube like for a couple of months. So I would love to get bigger on YouTube as well. So like I would love to make Uranian astrology, let's say, more familiar with people.
Hmm.
So people still think that like it is kind of different astrology system. It's not Western astrology, or it is kind of a different system of astrology. It is, but it is still Western astrology. So it can be about that. So yeah, I'm just happy with things as they are. So I love that gradual process of growth. So
Yeah, you're
yeah,
really showing your fixed energy there now.
yeah,
That is like the fixed energy anthem. I'm really happy with things as they are.
yeah,
But I know you have Pluto now in your 10th house, so I know like there's transformation coming for you in like on a deep cellular level. It will be slow, but you probably are feeling it, that kind of sense of, ooh, there's something coming and it's big.
exactly, exactly. So then yeah, I thought about that because my life already changed a lot in the last 4 years since my Saturn return. So now Pluto in my 10th house, I thought what can change more? So like I was thinking about it. So then I realized that like I got some type of detachment with the work. So energetically, so with readings, for example, that we discussed. And then yeah, I kind of I don't know what it will bring for now. So it will be a long process, but sure, I feel the change coming. So I feel
Yeah.
some type of change.
Yeah, I'm going to make a prediction. I feel like, somebody like someone really big in astrology will definitely like invite you onto their podcast. That's all I'm going to say. Like a powerful networking kind of opportunities coming for you that like you might not be expecting. I'm going to put it out there. I said it first, guys.
Okay,
I'm
let's see.
predicting this for Matt, but Matt, like what transit? I guess you are Jupiter in Cancer, so I know you're probably very excited for Jupiter in Cancer next year, your Jupiter return. But are there any other transits apart from that one, that you're excited for in the future now? Because there's a lot of the outer planets changing signs next year.
Exactly. So I'm so excited for Uranus leaving Taurus. So it's like has been on my ascendant for 7 years. So I also love the energy of Jupiter, Uranus in Gemini. So that will also be changing my second house. So that will change the way that I make income or change the way that I will spend. So I'm excited about that. So of course I'm into Jupiter in Cancer. So I'm waiting for that as well. So yeah, 2025 will be interesting in that. So I also will feel Pluto more than ever.
Hmm.
So Pluto in my 10th house, I will see what it is about. Yeah, I will. I can say Uranus leaving Taurus. So I'm waiting for that.
Yeah, I think I'm sure a lot of Taurus placements and fixed signs in general are probably happy about Uranus leaving Taurus. It has been there a pretty long time. Some of our followers sent in some great questions, Matt. I asked for specifically, I put a call out for only hard questions.
Okay.
Okay, well, now hardish, as in like higher octave questions to test that Mercury and Virgo. So somebody somebody did ask, and this is actually a really good question. It's not really a hard question, but like, when is the best time to turn to Uranian dial? Is there like a time where, let's say, people are just using traditional astrology and they're not getting the answer or whatever? Like, in what situations or scenarios would you recommend Uranian dial having the answers, maybe?
Okay, so to practice that to get the answers, like like in modern astrology, like we talk about the scenarios, like possible scenarios. This might happen, this might happen, this might happen. The theme might be that. So when you have some specific scenarios, but you don't know when they might be activated, when they might be relevant.
Hmm.
So Uranian dial might be pretty accurate to see at what ages, at what period with what transit, what will be
Hmm.
activated at what time. So timing is more specific. So for specific timing, we can count on Uranian dial. So like like you also know, like it is actually easier to pinpoint things um, degree by degree. So yeah, I can count on that.
And Matt, I'm going to throw in another question now because, I have obviously studied Uranian dial with you, and I studied zodiacal releasing. I studied that under Chris Brennan. And these things where we go deep into timing, like that kind of crisis that emerges then, that's kind of typical with looking very deeply at your timing about fate and free will. Like, how have you navigated those yourself?
Yeah, so I believe that we always have our agencies. We decide, like we are over the chart, we are over the transits. So
Hmm.
we just use them to find our way. So it doesn't mean that so we can see something, but it can happen in another way. So it doesn't mean that something specifically that will happen to us as we see it. So I still have that skepticism towards predictions or astrology still. So yeah, I believe in our agency. So like if I fall for that, I can also make that happen, like on my own.
Hmm.
But if I'm aware of what's coming, so I can navigate better. So that's what I believe in.
Yeah, and I think what's refreshing too about you, Matt, is that, like myself, we have a kind of a mutual dislike of predictive astrology and horoscopes, not because we can't do it. Like, I have done it for lots of clients, and I have done it with great success, but I don't like people's over reliance on it. Sometimes people start to I feel they start to walk with a crutch, and I don't really want my Aries moon will not let any client get too dependent on me. I'm like, no, 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 no. You must be independent of your astrologer. Another question somebody sent in was about interceptions in the birth chart. So obviously interceptions, for people that aren't aware, you'll see this in a Placidus house system. They asked, what would you see as their meaning and why they happen? I'm assuming they mean why as in what's the higher reason, because, technically they happen because you're using Placidus house
Yeah.
system, because you won't have interceptions with whole sign or equal house. But yeah, interceptions, Matt, do you want to give your take on those?
Yeah, sure. I also finished my birth chart reading workshop with my students. So we talked about interceptions. So there are actually a few of my students who are so good at that, uh, who who so good at reading that. So I use whole sign mostly. Of course, like if you use Placidus, there will be interceptions. So I see interceptions as stuck energy, like in this axis. For example, first and seventh houses. So for that, there is some, it is waiting to be released. So for that, as it is so eager to be released, it can be released through, let's say, unforeseen times or inappropriate times. So it can be a recurring theme in the person's life because there is some stuck energy there. So to analyze that interception, I take a look at whole sign to see where those houses or those signs would normally be. So, for example, first and seventh house, like Capricorn and Cancer, are intercepted, but in whole sign, Capricorn and Cancer are ruling the sixth house. So this means that like relationship themes will be mostly be finding their way out through the themes of the 6,000 12 houses. So, yeah, I kind of refer to whole sign to analyze interceptions. So, I also take a look at the rulers of intercepted signs. For example, Saturn, Capricorn, Moon, Cancer. So, Moon and Saturn will also be revealing about how to release that energy. So, yeah, it is kind of, yeah, exactly. So, people agree with me
Hmm.
uh, here. So we should also refer to pulse sign for interceptions. So that is in my practice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really great system. And to answer the question about why some people have interceptions, have you a theory on why some people are born with intercepted planets
Okay.
in Placidus?
Okay. So, yeah, okay, geographically, of course, it is because like they were born on the top north or top south.
Hmm.
But like for soul's purpose, I believe that like there is something to be worked on. So there is something that is repressed, and like you need to let that out. So it is kind of a lesson that you need to learn with that interception or the interception. Let's say signs as well. So it is something, it can be something like your dark shadow side. So it can be because like those houses are not visible.
Hmm.
So you need to learn that basically. You need to learn the energy of that house and of that sign. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
I
say.
really agree with that, Matt. Do you mind me asking, have you intercepted planets yourself, Matt, in your birth chart?
No, I don't have interception.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually have two planets intercepted, so the viewers might know. But like I have my Mercury and my Venus intercepted in Placidus, and they're both in the sign of Leo, and their rules, of course, they answer to my Cancer Sun. But my Cancer Sun is in the eighth house in whole sign. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of, and my Sun is opposite Neptune, so there was a lot of, for me, it was work around being my authentic self. And I really felt that one of the big things that unlocked my Venus and my Mercury was, outing myself as an astrologer, practicing as an astrologer, being shining a light on the esoteric and all of this like wisdom I had, and sharing all of my stuff, being seen, so to speak. The sun in the eighth house, not a big fan of being seen, but yeah, we get there eventually. um, Matt, final question from a viewer, and then I'll have a look on the chat and see, because I know we've a
Okay.
lot of comments coming in. Possible expressions of planets at 1 degree or 29 degrees. Have you thoughts about that?
Okay. So for 29, I have a kind of metaphor. So if you remember X-Men, the comics, so there was a character there, Cyclops. So he had
Oh yeah, X-Men. Yes,
glasses.
I loved
Yeah,
X-Men.
me
Yes,
too.
the
And
glasses.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes he lost his glasses, and like there were some
Hmm.
X-rays coming out of his eyes,
Hmm.
and the X-rays were kind of destructive. So I kind of associate 29 with that. So, like if you can focus that energy, it is so, let's say, transformative and empowering. But if you don't know how to work with it, it can be distractive, because that energy is the last kick, like the last release.
Hmm.
So like sometimes they open the walls of the dams and there are floods in the city. So 29 can be like that. So if you don't manage that well, it can be overwhelming. And it can also be about power, for example. And
Okay.
1 degree, like it is an early degree. So for that, the energy of the sign will be pretty pure. So 1 degree Venus in Leo, for example. So we can see the real or maybe some raw qualities of Venus in Leo. Or maybe 1 degree Aries moon, for example. So we can see more anger than ever because it's kind of a baby degree in a way.
Yeah, I have a late degree Aries moon, everyone. Don't worry. I have my moon under control now. But I remember when I was younger, I wouldn't say my Aries moon was under control at all. And it still pops out sometimes and surprises me even. I'm just seeing, Matt, we've had so many comments from viewers
Okay, let's see.
watching all over the world. It's so lovely that they have joined us, so many international followers, and also some lovely astrologers as well. I'm just checking the comments. Some of the comments, I feel like some of them may have disappeared, but I know some astrologers. Oh yes, Kim Astro Healing said that her second Saturn return was Saturn Aquarius, and yeah, I think she's referring to that generation of astrologers. Perhaps Kim
Mhm.
started her work then as well in a similar regard, and yes, and she's also speaking about clearing the energy after reading. Oh, it's so lovely that so many people could be joining us tonight. And Angela as well from Psychology and Astrology is talking about intercepted houses there. They didn't get that house and sign in childhood. Yeah, I think intercepted houses definitely manifest more earlier in life. And I see another follower says here she has intercepted Venus and Moon in Aries in the 12th, Taurus rising. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm such a visual person. I don't know if you're the same, Matt. When somebody says to me their chart in words, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
no,
I have to see it.
course. No, exactly,
But I
exactly.
would say anybody with their moon in the 12th house, anyway, just off the top of my head, is a real channel and such a creative. So, like, I definitely think creativity will help unlock. And I think what a lot of people don't recognize too about Taurus risings is that, like, you're actually one of the more creative rising signs. Taurus is such creative energy, and Taurus rules the throat chakra. And I think Taurus are incredible with their hands and just working with fabrics and things that come from the earth and paint and just textiles. I think that Taurus is like one of the better artistic, kind of more artistic signs that, that they don't speak about that as much.
Yeah.
Um, but Matt, it's just been so amazing having you on and chatting about Uranian Dial and your journey to Uranian Dial. As you know, I'm obsessed with astrology. I could talk about it all night. Is there anything else you want to share with our viewers before we sign off for the evening?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. And now that I also see another of my student, Denise,
Oh,
like in the chat. So I also love like bringing people together, like in my classes, like people make connections, so they make plans to visit each other, and they are connected on the social media, for example. So I also love that like sense of interaction and community. I can also add that. So that's what also love about teaching astrology. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's great, like bringing people together. And like one thing I remember when I started your class, Matt, I genuinely thought like, I was just going to do the class and learn some astrology. I didn't expect to make friends in the class. Like I had like zero expectations around making friends, but I made some genuinely brilliant, amazing friends, that I'm still in touch with. Christina and Jasmina
Yeah.
and I are still like very, very close. And I'm just thinking of other people in the class, Esther and Mark, and to name but a few, there are so many like wonderful people. And Melanie that, that we became so close in the class. I think people because it was online, I had very low expectations, but there was a lot of, I guess, shared trauma when we were looking at
Drama.
each other's
Yeah.
birth charts. But we had such a lovely group, and it was such a transformative experience. I remember, like, every Sunday I would have class with Matt, and I was actually going through a very difficult period in my personal life at the time, and I would look forward to Sunday. It was my favorite day of the week, and I used to actually dislike Sundays before I started astrology
Me
classes, which you
too.
met. And I have my son in the eighth house, so Sunday is the day where you get to really be yourself. It's like the purest expression of yourself. I know that now, and the reason why I loved Sundays and going to class with you on a Sunday evening, I was always so hyped, was because it was a few hours where I would sit on the laptop and be my unfiltered, authentic self in the company of fellow like astrologers. So I have to thank you so much for that, because I remember there would be an odd week where Matt would cancel. I remember, one week maybe his kitten was sick or something, and I would be devastated. I'd be like, "Oh, that's okay, Matt," in the WhatsApp group, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm so sad. I don't get to have my astrology class." And then I knew, like, I was a serious astrology addict. I knew then that there was no help for me. Like I always say, I fell down a hole of astrology, and then like I kind of liked the hole when I was down there, and I didn't want to climb out. So yeah, I just thought I would share that story with viewers, and for anybody. I know Denise, I just was looking back to the chat there. Denise said she's no planets in her intercepted houses. Definitely, of course, she's looking for the ruler of those signs that are blocked and working with those ruling planets, because the answers are there for sure. Matt, thank you so, so
Well,
much. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you as always. I'm
for me
so,
as well.
so happy to call you, my former teacher, and now to call you a friend as well.
Uh,
I'm so glad our paths crossed. And if everyone, I'm sure you're already following Matt, but if you're not following Matt, I mean, what are you doing? Guys, his horoscopes are insane. And anybody that doesn't like writing horoscopes is usually like amazing at writing horoscopes. So, Matt,
okay.
thank you so much.
Um,
I can't thank you enough. And
yeah,
thanks
me
to
too.
everyone that tuned in. And yeah, I can't wait to share this on YouTube and save it on Instagram too. Bye,
Exactly.
everyone, and
Yeah.
happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Goodbye.
Bye.